Assalamu alaikum, dear students. This is me, Atiq Ahmed. Today we are going to study the last topic of this chapter, and that is animal tissues. In the bodies of animals, there are four major categories of tissues: the epithelial tissues, the connective tissues, the muscle tissues, and the nervous tissues. We will study these four categories of tissues which are found in animals as well as humans, because humans are also social animals. So we'll study these four in detail. Epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue covers the outside of the body in the form of skin, and it also lines the organs and cavities like trachea, bronchi, lungs, gut, digestive tract. Gut is the old name of digestive tract. Now it is known as digestive tract. This is the traditional name. Kidneys and urinary tract. So epithelial tissues are found in the form of skin. Our skin is made of epithelial tissue, which protects the internal body, the internal whole organ systems from the outside environmental dangers. And it is also found in the organs. It lines the organs and cavities. What the lines means, the internal lining, the internal covering of organs as well as the cavities are made of epithelial tissues. Like trachea have internal lining of epithelial tissues. For example, this is trachea. Trachea is basically the part of the respiratory tract. So this is a long tube. So this inner lining is made of epithelial tissues. Bronchi, this is again the part of the respiratory system. Lungs, guts, the digestive tract, the internal linings, the internal covering of the digestive tract, that is made of epithelial tissues. Similarly, kidneys, urinary tract, etc. The cells in these tissues are flattened. They are flattened, elongated, they are long, and they are very closely packed together. There are no intercellular spaces between the cells of epithelial tissues. They are head-to-head closely packed cells. Connective tissues, the second type, the second category. As the name shows, connective tissues basically serve as a connecting link, as a connection between the various organs as well as the various parts of the body. So it serves as a connecting function. It supports and bends other tissues. Connective tissues has cells which are scattered throughout an extracellular matrix. Now understand this basic point, that connective tissues are basically in this way a unique type of tissues, that their cells are basically suspended in a matrix. There is a semi-fluid type of matrix where various protein fibers will be present, and then the cells are present scattered in this fluid matrix. So connective tissue has cells which are scattered throughout an extracellular matrix. Extracellular means outside the cell matrix. So the cells are basically embedded or fixed inside a matrix which contain fluid as well as some various types of proteins. We will study those in detail. Collagens proteins are found there. There are many types of connective tissues. We study one by one. Loose connective tissues. Loose connective tissue has an extracellular material that contains tightly packed collagen protein fibers. Collagen is a protein. Loose connective tissues has collagen protein fibers and distributed under epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissues we have recently studied in the above topic, that those tissues which make our skin as well as the lining of the internal organs. So suppose this is the skin, so this is the outermost epithelial tissue, and beneath this tissue there is loose connective tissue. So it is distributed under the epithelial tissue. Above is the epithelial tissue and beneath that there is loose connective tissue. It holds organs at their specific place. Fibrous connective tissues has extracellular material which contain tightly packed collagen fibers. Again, it is made of collagen protein fiber. It is in the form of tendons and ligaments. Now, tendons are basically the muscles to bone attachment. Now remember, all the movements in our bodies are produced by muscles, and the muscles are attached to a fixed hard surface, and that fixed hard structure, that is bone. So the muscles are attached to these bones through tendons. In between these two, this is the muscle, this is the bone. In between these two, here in the mid, there is connective tissue, and that connective tissue is basically fibrous connective tissue. So it is in the form of tendons that attaches muscles to the bone. This is muscle, this is bone. It attaches muscles to the bone. In between there is fibrous connective tissues and ligaments that join two bones. Now, whenever there are bone attachments in our body, so they are not just attached head to head, because if they are attached head to head, so bones are hard structures. So whenever the movements are produced, so they will rub with each other, and as a result, the friction will be there, and they will slowly and gradually degenerate. But soft connective tissues, which are known as ligaments, are present between bone to bone attachment. So whenever there is bone to bone attachment, so in between the two bones there is a soft connective tissue, and that is the fibrous connective tissue. Adipose tissues. Adipose tissues, in other words, these are called fatty tissues. They contain swollen cells due to the presence of large amount of fats, large number of fats. They are found around the kidneys, under the skin, in abdomen, etc., etc. It prevents heat loss, provides energy, and protects and support organs. It prevents heat loss and provide energy. Remember that fats are very good insulators. They are non-conductors for water, they are non-conductors for heat, etc., etc. They are very good insulators. They do not conduct heat, do not conduct water, so they prevent heat loss. So whenever there are adipose tissues present in various organs of our bodies, around the organs, so they insulate the organs, because heat cannot be lost from those organs, because these adipose tissues, they have fats, and fats are very good insulators. They provide energy. Now remember, we will study in the next chapters, also in the nutrition chapters, that the primary source of energy is carbohydrate. If the carbohydrate is not available, then the second energy source, which is rich in energy as compared to the carbohydrates, that is the fats. So the fats can provide energy, and they can produce in large amount of energy. So they provide energy to the body and protects and support organs. Fourth category, cartilage has an extracellular material that contains bundles of collagen fibers. The cartilage is found around the ends of bones in the external ear. This is the external ear. So this is the fleshy part, but inside this hard structure, this is basically the cartilage structure. It is made of cartilage. It is found in nose. It is also found in nose here. It is found in the trachea, in the respiratory tract, and in the larynx, etc., etc. It provides support and maintains shape, while have flexibility too. It provides support and maintains shape. They are comparatively stronger and harder, but they have some flexibility as compared to the bones. Now remember, the normal connective tissues, these are the softest tissues. As compared to these tissues, the cartilage is comparatively harder tissues, and the hardest tissues, those are of bones. So number 5, bone. Bone has extracellular material that contain collagen fiber and calcium salt. Bone have extracellular material as like other connective tissues, but they have additionally calcium salts. Not only calcium, at your level only calcium is mentioned, but there is also magnesium, there is also potassium. So various minerals are present in our bones which provide strength and hardness to our bones. So calcium, magnesium, potassium, these all are present in our bone. It supports, protects and provides liver system for the movement and forms the blood cells also. It is hard. Bone is a hard structure, so it provides support as well as it provides protection. For example, skull, our skull, it provides protection to our brain. This is one of the example because our skull is made of bones. Similarly, it provides liver system for the movement, for the various movements of the body. Now remember, movements is produced by two things. Number one, muscles. And muscles are attached to the hard structures, the bones. So these bones play as a role of liver, and the muscle contract and relax. Contract and relax. As a result, various movements are produced in our body. And form blood cells. Another important point, that the bones have the grayish whitish material inside that is known as bone marrow. That bone marrow has stem cells, and stem cells basically produce various types of blood cells. Red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, these all are produced inside the bone, and inside the bone it is produced by the bone marrow. The stem cells are present in the bone marrow which produce all the blood cells. And the sixth one, the last type of the connective tissue, that is the blood. Blood is a special type of connective tissue. You would not believe that the blood is also a tissue. It is considered as tissue in biology. Now, that has extracellular material as a fluid, plasma. This is a unique type of tissue which has the extracellular material, the matrix, which is made up of fluid, a plasma. And remember, plasma contains around 90 to 95% water. So it has an extracellular material which is a fluid, a plasma. It transports substances like oxygen, food, waste, etc. from one part of the body to the other. And they are also responsible for immunity, for the defense of the body, because it contains the white blood cells which are the defense cells and which defend our body against various invading microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, etc. etc. We will move towards the third type of tissues found in our body, the muscle tissues. The muscle tissues consist of bundle of long cells. Remember, these muscle tissues have comparatively large fibrous cells. So they are made of bundles of long cells, just like threads. So they are made of threads of cells. And it is the most abundant tissue in animals. In animals, this is the most abundant tissue found everywhere, because in our body there are many muscles. There are skeletal muscles, there are smooth muscles, there are cardiac muscles. So all parts of the body there are muscles. So muscles are found everywhere, and these tissues, muscle tissues, are the most abundant tissues in animal body. The cells of this tissue has a unique ability to contract and relax, to contract and relax. This is the ability of the muscle cells, that they can contract and relax, and due to this contraction and relaxation, movements are produced in the animal bodies. There are three types of muscle tissues: skeletal muscle or striated muscle. These are attached to bones with the help of connective tissues called tendons, which we have already discussed. That muscles are attached with the bones through connective tissues which are known as tendons. Their cells are striated, stripped. These are stripped cells. In local term in Urdu, this is called patedar. They have strips. They are called striated. So their cells are striated. They are long and contain many nuclei. Now think over it. Why it will contain many nuclei? The muscle cells contain many nuclei, particularly a skeletal muscle, because the muscle has to produce movement, and for movement energy is required. For contraction and relaxation, to produce movement, the muscle require energy, And for that energy, mitochondria should be there. There should be more mitochondria in muscle cells as compared to any other body cell. And the mitochondria basically is the energy powerhouse, so it will produce energy. But for that energy production, many genes should be there so that various enzymes are produced, and those enzymes basically catalyze various steps in the respiration process inside the mitochondria. So they have many nuclei, they have many chip of lives inside those nuclei, they have genes, and they produce various types of proteins which are the part of the skeletal muscles, and some of the proteins are enzymes which play a role in the respiration process in the mitochondria to produce more energy for the skeletal muscles for their functions. They produce large, powerful voluntary movements like movements of arms and legs. Skeletal muscles, they produce large movements. For example, the movements of our legs. So our legs basically have muscles, skeletal muscles. Similarly, our arms. So they have skeletal muscles, and these muscles, skeletal muscles, produce large movements. And at one point other, that they produce voluntary movements. Those movements which are under our control, which are according to our will. So skeletal muscle produce large movements as well as voluntary movements, intentional movements. Now the second types of muscles, those are smooth muscles which are found in the walls of hollow organs, alimentary canal, urinary bladder, blood vessel, etc. These smooth muscles are found in the hollow organs. For example, our alimentary canal, digestive. In other words, it is digestive tract. This is the old name of digestive tract. So now it is known as digestive tract, alimentary canal or gut. These are the old name of digestive tract. So our hollow organs, for example, the digestive tube, the urinary bladder, the blood vessel, they all have smooth muscles. They contain smooth, non-striated cells, and each with a single nucleus. Yes, they have single nucleus. They produce low contraction and are involuntary in action. They produced low contractions and as a result low movements. So that is why they do not require much more energy. That's why there are single nucleus in their cells, and there are few mitochondria, energy powerhouses in their cells, and they are involuntary in action. They are not under our will. For example, our digestive tract is continuously working, but that is not under our will. That is not under our intention. So they produce involuntary movements of various tracts of our body. For example, digestive tract, the movement of digestive tract, urinary tract, etc., etc. These are slow movements, and these are involuntary. They are responsible for the movement of substances in the hollow organs, like food movement in the digestive tract and urine movement in the urinary tract. Now cardiac muscle is the third type of muscles, and one of the most important types of muscles, because it is found in the walls of the heart, and heart is one of the most important organ along with brain. So cardiac muscles are present in the wall of the heart. Their cells are also striated. They have strips, and they are branched fibers. They are branched, but there is a single nucleus in each cell. They are involuntary, again they are involuntary, and they produce heartbeat which propel blood into the vessels. The cardiac muscles are involuntary, they are not under our will. Either we wish or not, our heart will pump the blood, and the cardiac muscles inside our heart wall, they will work continuously, and they produced slow movements and rhythmic movements, continuous movements. Continuous contraction and relaxation of heart occurs. So they produce involuntary and slow movements, but rhythmic movements, continuous movements, and they pump the blood inside the vessels. The fourth type, the nervous tissue. This is the fourth category of tissue. Nervous tissue forms the communication system of the body, and we have studied this in class 8 in very much detail, that the nervous system consists of nervous tissues, and these nervous tissues are responsible for the communication of the body. They transmit nerve impulses, nervous information from one part of the body to the other, and they carry the responses from the brain and spinal cord to the effectors. So their function is in the communication of the body. This tissue is mainly composed of nerve cells or neurons, which are specialized to conduct messages in the form of neuroimpulses. Nervous tissue is found in the brain, spinal cord, and nerves, and its network is throughout our body. Now diagrammatically we will observe these tissues. These are various types of animal tissues: cartilage, adipose tissues, these are connective tissues, muscle tissues, these are nervous tissues, epithelial tissues, these are bone tissues, and this is blood tissue. Human body tissues in other diagrams, these are connective tissues, these are nervous tissues, these are skeletal tissues, these are cardiac tissues, these are epithelial tissues, and these are smooth muscle tissue. So this is all about today's topic. Alhamdulillah, we have finished this chapter. See you next time inshallah. Take care. Allah Hafiz.